Well, here we are again, the story of my life. Please don't leave this page before you like it. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. Subscribe to this page and to this YouTube channel, Bishop Henry Mulandi, so that when episodes are out, you can be notified. Last time we were here, we were talking about love, marriage, and family, chapter 8 of my book. And you should have seen the life in the studio here, because a good number of the guys that are doing this are walking in the same path that I walked then. So it's good to tell young people stories about, where we come from, the experiences we've had in life. So where were we? I got married, simple wedding in Joro, traveled to Machakos. I didn't have the money to go for the honeymoon where most people like to go Mombasa, swim, and it was a very simple wedding. When we went down to Machakos, at that time I was teaching at a primary school called Kathekakai Primary School. Betty was teaching at Naivasha in a primary school there. So after getting married, we stayed for some weeks. And here comes January 1979, and she had to go back and report to work. And so I was left, to start cooking for myself. One of the things that, as a young person, I know I was redeemed from by getting married was cooking. I was good at doing some things, but cooking, some of the foods I did like, but not all. But the worst of it all, let me tell you here, was washing the utensils. And, up to today, at my age now, I'm trying to practice a little bit. Let me tell you, that was a great salvation, to get someone to clean the utensils. I would eat through the week, okay, but I would put the utensils in the sink and make sure I block the hole and put a lot of water. So the utensils would be in the water swimming for the days they would be there. And honestly, I would only pick the plate that I wanted to use, clean it, rinse it, and use it, bring it back again. It was very interesting. That all changed. And the other thing that I know changed, I know I promised to tell you some serious mistakes that I did, and I'll tell you in this episode. But one thing that I know I was delivered from, as a young person, I did not organize my clothes. I would walk into my bedroom and the clothes would kind of just fall off as I walked to my bed, and would pick them up the following day if I needed to wear them again. That had to end. I remember one of the commands I got from my wife Betty was, you do not leave clothes on the floor. Remove them, hang them. All right, all right. Once in a while I would forget, and I would get a serious reprimand. I told you. See, I was not used to that. That was difficult because here was an international evangelist, man of God, MOG, preaching the world, and here someone comes into your life who commands you to change style of life. That was tough. That was difficult. I still find it, a little bit hard. Even today in some things, because my wife is a teacher. And up to today, I'm still in a classroom of being taught certain things, and especially talking. She says, "Mundu dauga go wo." You don't say it like that. I say, but I've always been saying it this way. Well, the Americans say, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And that has been quite a struggle. But very soon, she got a transfer, came from Naivasha, The first time she came to a school called Kaseve. As you climb towards Machakos, coming from Masi to Machakos town, Kaseve. So in the morning, we would wake up from town, Machakos. I would go west, she would go east. We would meet in the evening. That was her life. But weekends, I was outgone for missions. Something happened within the first 2 months. My wife's health began to change, and I began to notice, her having nausea and kind of throwing up in an what would I say? It was not organized. It was very disorganized. Because I'll never forget, I took her for an outing in Nairobi in one of the best hotels I liked in River Road. There was an hotel I would pass by, and the first thing you see, they will give you porridge. That's free before you order. You had to drink porridge. It's very nice, and I like porridge up to today. And I took her there, and I had one of the. They had the grill. They call it, I forget, but it had everything. Oh my goodness, it had little pork, it had little chicken, it had little this and the other. So I took her there for a special outing. And after we had that lunch, as we were walking out at the corner, then the thing started. And I had to walk a little far from her. I did not want people to see this evangelist with a woman throwing up in the street. It was kind of embarrassing, So I would walk away to pretend that I don't know her. And but it was, all the food she had eaten, she threw up. That happened not once. I realized that she was behaving funny, only to go and talk to a doctor, a friend of mine who said, your wife is expecting a child. There was joy, but there was also sadness in that, the way she was behaving, morning throwing up, smells. There are some smells she would really like a vehicle would pass by and the fumes, she would almost want to follow it, smelling it, smell nice. But there are others. Oh, did she put a bottle of paraffin next to the bed? I'm trying to think. It was funny, but there was also joy that we're expecting a baby. I prayed that we would have our firstborn girl, a daughter. And guess what? God had that prayer. On September 22nd, 1979, we had our firstborn girl, born at Pumwani Maternity Hospital, Nairobi. She was born there, but the journey, the weeks before were terrible. I could hardly sleep. She would wake up after every few minutes to walk around and this and the other, and then throwing up, and she was not eating. She was so thin. I mean, I feared the kind of child we would have would be, would be underweight. But thanks to God, Catherine was born. See, during our wedding, we had the girls on our wedding line, we call it line Q, were 7 Catherines. There was Catherine Javan, there was Catherine, 7 of them. So our firstborn, we named her Catherine, because we had so many Catherines in the wedding. And the second name was Ndanya. There is a name, that name, my wife, when she came to the village, there was my brother's daughter was called Ndanya, and she really liked the name. That's how we picked Catherine Ndanya. But then something happened, and this is what I want to share with you. Something happened during this time. My wife began to concentrate so much on the child, which she was supposed to, and I was left out. I felt I was lost. The attention I used to get, She would pamper me with all kinds of stuff. I was not getting that. So what did I do? I resolved I'm going to concentrate in missions. I'm going to preach the gospel, come home late, go up very early in the morning, weekend, blah, 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 and just leave her there. The mistake I wanted to share with you, it will come in here. I believed right there that family was not number one. Missions and the work of the ministry was number one. I was wrong. I needed to balance, and I did not. Let me run quickly and bring you to a point when all the children were born, our 3 children. I was called to Nairobi High School, where my children were the boys. And one of them had a disciplinary issue. And I'll never forget when I sat down with the board and they asked me, "Sir, what is your profession?" And I said, I didn't say I was a bishop. I said, "I am a pastor." And one of the board members turned around and said, "Pastor? Meaning you're a pastor and your child could misbehave like this?" I'm glad I didn't say bishop. The next question was, how much time do you take with your family? Let me tell you, I've often used this in missions, in preachings, in teachings. That was a bullet below the belt. How much time do you have with your family? I said, I marbled some things because it was serious. I marbled some things, but it was a bullet below the belt. And I went away thinking of the times I've come home very tired. I've been preaching. I've had appointments with people in the minister office, and I have counseled and I have prayed for people. I come home tired. Didn't have time for the children. And then I would come with a newspaper, so stressed. And I would be there reading a newspaper and watching the television. That's after we had bought a television. And the children would pass by and they want to play with me, and I would... That part of my life I regret, because it was, I wouldn't say it was late, but I thank God I realized the mistakes I was doing. I gave ministry the first priority and failed as a father, as a husband. I had no time for the family. I had done family courses at college, and I taught family courses at the RBM School of Ministry. But there's teaching, telling people what to do, but there's also the doing. I wasn't doing. I was busy. I was too busy. If I was to do it again, that part I would do it differently. I would spend more time with the family than I did. So from there, from Nairobi School, I came back home and I decided I'm going to change a few things. And from that time on, I determined that I would be at home right after work, after office. I would run home. My wife was working. She would find me at home almost Monday to Friday. And I cut down on evening late meetings in the church. I cut down on that. I spend more time with my last born now, because I realized somewhere there. And it's no wonder now that my son Paul is pastoring. I think he drank it all. I spend more time with him at home. Of course, the other children had gone to high school. I had more time with him. We went out places. However, in all, I had a very rich family life, spending holidays together, taking a week off from work and going out there. I'm telling you this, maybe you young people who are getting married and thinking that making money is number one. or business or ministry. Because I'll remember, and I'll keep the names. I remember a friend in church who came to me and wanted to go and study. He had little children. He wanted to go and study. And I counseled him not to, and especially him and his wife. One went to one country, I wouldn't mention, another one to another country. They both of them went different ways to study and left little children at home. Those children grew up without parents for years. And the most dangerous years is the formative years. Below 20, please take more time with the kids. Take more time with your children. Studying, you can postpone it for it to come later on. By the way, for my bachelor's degree, I was enrolled at Daystar University in 1988. And while studying, my kids are in school, we would come home and share notes. I would ask them to show me their grades, and they said, "Dad, we also want to see your grades." So at least I postponed in a number of things, and God helped me to do this, that I was studying much later in life. What am I saying here? Mistakes that we do then in a family, they show up later on, and it is very, very hard, to correct. Thank God I noticed that. And the guys that hung around me, friends, preachers, pastors, ministers, I tell them the same thing. The second mistake I want to share with you. You see, I was so deep in ministry that I had no Sabbath. I had no time for rest. I went 7 days full, starting up a church in Thika, and all the prayer meetings, and all the committees, and all the preachings, and then the missions out. Actually, I would run quickly and tell you, after we started the Thika Church, 1980, by 83, we had several churches. By 1986, we had 56 churches. So the ministry, the work expanded so quickly, and I was left and right. I was needed. I thought I was needed, and if I was not there, things would not go right. I was wrong. In 1994, I burned out. I burned out so hard, so bad, that I was ready to quit ministry and leave no address, no return address. I thought I should throw in that, just in case you wouldn't hear this later on. I burned out because I was not resting. I was not taking breaks. I didn't know what a Sabbath was. The Bible talks about Sabbath. God created the heavens and the earth for 6 days, and the seventh day he rested. So if God rested, my goodness. If I don't rest for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, my body begins to tell. My body begins to tell. A day with nothing but resting. I might meditate, I might pray, I might read, but just rest. That one I missed. I was ready to never do ministry again. That was the hardest part. I've told you at least those two mistakes. Don't repeat, don't do them. Now that you have heard me preach. How did I get healed back from burned out 1994? Hey, when I took a sabbatical leave, I'm telling you, people thought Mulandi had backslidden. They talked things in this town. Things like, Satan never takes a break. I had to react and say, I'm not made with the same materials as the devil. I am flesh and blood. The devil is a spirit. That's why he never takes a break. That's why he never takes a sabbatical leave. That's why he never takes a Sabbath. The devil is a spirit. I am flesh and blood that gets tired. And God has told us in his word, take the Sabbath. It is good for you. I will share with you in my next episode how I got healed. It was so serious. Leaving ministry I had no taste for family. I had no taste for anything. I was just ready to quit. I will share with you in our next episode. And please, before you exit, like this page, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can pick up the next episode once we do it. We'll continue from there. God bless you.